Now, the former deputy chairwoman of Ukip, Suzanne Evans, has said there was no attempted coup against Nigel Farage, but this had passed into Ukip mythology. Suzanne Evans failed yesterday in her High Court challenge to a decision to suspend her from the party for 6 months. The Ukip leader, Nigel Farage, who once named her as his preferred successor, denied the ban was due to her criticism of him. I'm joined now by our political correspondent, Michael Crick. And Michael, this has all got rather nasty, hasn't it?
Yes, there have been further extraordinary allegations that have emerged today. It's emerged that in the Ukip witness statement for yesterday's proceedings, they allege that Suzanne Evans' lawyer threatened that her witness statement would include bits about Nigel beating his wife and stuff. This was based on a phone call between Suzanne Evans' lawyer, Richard Hendron, and the Ukip lawyer. Now, I've actually heard part of this phone call. And in this phone call, Mr. Hendron, Suzanne Evans' lawyer, says to the Ukip lawyer, quotes, "I can tell you this, between you and me, Suzanne is doing her witness statement, which is to become a public document, and it is explosive. It has bits about Nigel beating his wife and stuff. Either you are willing for that to happen and that to come out this week as a court document, which journalists will report on with no fear of being sued for libel. If you're willing to let that happen, then go ahead." Now, two things I should stress. First, Suzanne Evans did not say that in her witness statement. Second, at no point in the phone call that I've heard, the bits that I've heard, does Suzanne Evans' lawyer say that he's doing this with Suzanne Evans' authority or consent or assent or anything like that. I understand that this was prompted by a text message or a series of text messages that Mrs. Farage sent out to senior Ukip officials several months ago, which caused some this allegation. Yes, no, not the allegation. The inclusion in the phone call was prompted by a text message that Mrs. Farage put out some months ago, which caused some consternation within the Ukip High Command. But I must stress, it's my understanding that text message did not include anything about Nigel Farage beating his wife. He vehemently denies that, and he says that the whole of this is outrageous.
Well, Michael, thanks very much. We have Suzanne Evans in the studio live now. Well, did you threaten to reveal these incendiary claims about Nigel Evans beating his wife?
Absolutely not. I mean, why would I? I don't know what text messages Michael Crick refers to. I can assure you that on the times when I've met Nigel and Kirsten Farage, which have been several, they have struck me as being a very strong couple. I have absolutely no evidence of that, so why on earth would I have threatened it?
Well, why on earth would your lawyer make this threat then? I mean, did he make this up?
What I must say, Cathy, is that the journalist that has put this into the public domain is a man who was mentioned in my witness statement as someone who has been waging a vendetta against me for the last 10 months.
This is the man who runs the Breitbart website,
absolutely.
Not Michael Crick we're talking about.
No, of course not. Who I asked the party for help with because I felt so undermined, and his poison pen articles were deeply upsetting. I approached Ukip's legal officer and the chairman to say, could you please at least have a word with him, or write a lawyer's letter or something.
Well, obviously we don't have the guy who runs Breitbart in the studio to defend himself. But are you saying that your lawyer made up this threat then?
I've spoken to my lawyer. He denies making this threat.
Well, so Michael Crick has heard this phone conversation.
That's what I say. This is completely. This isn't something I know anything about. All I can say is that I categorically did not give any such instructions, absolutely not, because I would have absolutely no evidential or indeed any other basis on which to do so. My whole point of my witness statement is I wanted it to be truthful to try and get my suspension overturned. Why would I lie?
OK, but it's all got rather nasty, hasn't it?
It's very bloody, isn't it? I mean, I have to say, when you introduced this piece at the top of the programme and you used some quite incendiary words, I thought that's awful. But hearing what I've just heard, you're right. It has got very nasty.
Well, I used the word stitched up like a Ukip.
I think you used another word as well, which I forget now. But yes.
But you feel very much the victim in all of this, do you?
I'm not the victim in that, I'm still standing and so on and so forth. But I certainly think that there has been a deliberate attempt to try and get me kicked off the Greater London Authority election list. I was selected as the number 3 candidate. I think originally there was not a hope in hell's chance of me getting elected, according to polling. I gather polling has now showing that, in fact, the number 3 candidate could get elected. And I think that's why the timing of this suspension, which is very suspicious, has come to light. Because, of course, they have now succeeded in actually having me taken off the candidates list.
OK, so what does this episode say about Nigel Farage's leadership and particularly his attitude to senior women?
I don't know what it says about his attitude to senior women, really. I don't know what I can say. I think Nigel's leadership has been excellent, and indeed was excellent as far as I could see up until the time of the general election. I think there was clearly something of a pressure cooker effect that had built up. I think his resignation and unresignation was unfortunate and sort of kicked the party off an even keel. You know, I would have liked to see a UKIP at this point in time that was 100% united behind fighting the referendum and the regional elections that are coming up. And I'm as upset as anybody, and I know our members are extremely upset, that that is not the case.